Robstar gang, what up? What up? Appreciate everyone joining. Just got off the round table sports, and I gotta change my thing here. Hold on. Just got off the NFC South roundtable. If you haven't checked it out yet, go check it out. Sorry about that, guys. NFC South roundtable took a little bit longer than I expected. But I appreciate everyone joining the live stream as you guys are coming in. We're just getting started. I just went ahead, got off a live, hopped on over to my own live. All right. We're going to be talking about Dan Morgan's press conference. All right. If you didn't see it today, we can play it for you guys. If not, if you did see it, cool. We'll just talk about it. We're really going to talk. That's what we're going to be here to do. Yes, we are live, my friend. We are live. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. I be waking after my work nap and watching these lives. I feel you, big dog. That work nap must be hella good if you're just waking up and then watching these lives. That must be one hell of a nap, my friend. I feel that though. A nap does sound good. Because after this live, I am definitely going to take my happy ass to. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream though. Welcome in, welcome in. What we learned from Dan Morgan's press conference today. Have you guys? Oh, Zach says W draft. He's talking about my draft I did over there at the NFC South Roundtable. Go check it out. It was a good draft. It was fun, man. Like these mock drafts, it's all hypothetical, man. And I like to just have fun with them. I think we'll do one serious draft. And that means that, honestly, if I get really serious with these drafts, I'll probably end up never finishing them because I'm not even really sure. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's like kids, you have no idea. And especially after this press conference today, man, like what we heard from Dan Morgan, it's crazy, dude. It's crazy, honestly. I'm so surprised by some of the comments he made today. It's interesting. Fin and turn on notification NC South Roundtable. Yeah, right now the schedule's kind of funky over there. We're not going live as much over there. I might talk to them, see if they need me to start maybe doing some more content for them. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, most of the options only pick I'd be mad about is Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren was not even in a thought process, my friend. So I think we went. You guys can go check it out. They might post it or whatever. But I went Mike Green. I traded back with the I think I traded back with the Miami Dolphins, and I got their 13th pick, their 43rd pick, and I think I got their 116 pick in the 4th round. And I only gave up the 8th pick. And then I took Mike Green. Then I took Demetrius Knight, Jalen Knoll, and then Andrew Makuba in the 3rd. So I was able to get 2 second-round picks. I took Demetrius Knight and Knoll, and then in the 3rd round took Andrew Makuba and Mike Green in the 1st. So that's how it fell over there at the NFC South Roundtable. But if you want me to go over there, watch it down, how we broke each and every team down, the Saints, the Falcons, the Bucks, go check them out. All right. Now, who in here today watched the press conference? Okay. Who in here watched the press conference today? Because we talked about one of the things yesterday that happened, which is the Panthers open to trading down. We talked about that. All yesterday. Right? And even and said that they're open to it, right? And here's the honest truth about it. Like we hold the 8th pick. You're sitting squarely in front of the New Orleans Saints, who are currently praying to the football gods that Derek Carr's right shoulder doesn't implode before the season starts. And spoiler alert, it might. Carr is reportedly staring down the barrel of possible surgery, which could sideline him for a chunk of the 2025 season. So if not longer, like for a team already teetering on mediocrity, that's a code red situation. So what is this? I mean, what does this mean? I mean, from TJ's standpoint, he doesn't think they're getting Shedeur Sanders. Now, he thinks that the Giants are going to take him, I think, or I don't know if he thought the Browns were going to take him. And TJ is the guy, Saints guy over at the NFC South Roundtable. But if Shedeur falls and falls even to us, what does that mean? Because we talked about it last night. Like it means that if he's there and any other top tier prospect under center is still on the board when we're on the clock, I'm telling you right now, I guarantee you things could get wild. Like I think that any team that wants to leapfrog the Saints to secure their future franchise quarterback, and one of those teams is definitely the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Right. So, I mean, Carolina isn't just entertaining the calls, and according to obviously Dan Morgan, they're open to the idea of moving back. They know the exact kind of leverage they've got, and they should. We shouldn't be afraid to use that either. If the right sucker, and that's what he's going to be. Now, here's the thing. The value this year, I'll say this, in this NFL draft, ladies and gentlemen, is not as high as years past. Okay? It's just not. You're gonna have to trade back probably from 8 to a top 20 pick if you want to get a future first round. So Pittsburgh, future first round pick. Maybe the Rams want to trade up for somebody. I don't know. They would have to give us a future first. They're at the 26th pick. So there's no denying that. So if anybody here is a Carolina Panthers fan, it's like, well, if we trade back, I want a future first. You're looking at a top 20 pick if you want to get a future first. Okay. But if the right sucker comes along, man, and I mean, and comes calling with a solid package of picks, again, it's an offer you can't refuse. You know what I mean? Like, we're looking at it like cha-ching, cha-ching. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if there's an offer that I can't refuse, man, like, shit, I mean, it's about as easy as, 1, 2, 3, man. Like, this is how I would feel about it if someone just sent us some crazy pick.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
I mean, that's how I would feel. Like, literally. Right? Like, and especially in the top 20, like I've seen some crazy picks from the top 20 picks. You know what I mean? I mean, the Cleveland could end up being a team. Here's the thing, what I think Cleveland could do. And I love that Trap said this. This is what I think Cleveland could do. And this might sound crazy. I could see Cleveland taking Travis Hunter at the second pick and then trading up. Obviously, it's a lot of draft capital. Trading up to get Shedeur Sanders. I could see something like that. I could see something happening like that. Where that team goes and gets Travis Hunter, then they trade up and go get Shedeur. I can see Cleveland doing that. They're desperate, man. They need all the help they can get. That's just me, though. And I'm dead ass serious. I could see that happening. A trade up scenario is for me is not out the question for sure. That's the most Cleveland shit y'all thought of. Yeah, I did think of that. I just say, man, I just wouldn't be surprised if something crazy like that. I think I think T Mac goes to the Raiders because I could see that. I think Mason Graham ends up going to Jacksonville. I could also see that. I could see Mason Graham going to the Raiders too if they don't go T Mac. I think the Raiders are torn between T Mac and Mason Graham. Honestly, I honestly see though a team like Miami coming and calling our phone number because they need somebody to replace Christian Wilkins. They need a Mason Graham. I could see Dallas calling for Ashton Genty, trying to move up to get Ashton Genty, calling us for that, or calling us up to get T Mac. Steelers for Shador still makes a lot of sense to me. Still makes a lot of sense to me. Maybe Dan Morgan can make up for the Rams trade that we never took, right? Maybe this is where he trades back with the LA Rams and gets that future first that that extra future first, right? Because next year's draft class is going to be way more stacked than this year's draft class. And I would probably say that more from a certain positional standpoint. That's all I would say. I think from a certain positional, like certain positions, but it's not going to be, I don't know if it's going to be as stacked as this class is from a defensive standpoint. I mean, I think this is one of the most depth worthy defensive draft classes I've ever seen. So, again, Dan Morgan coming out saying he's open to it is it's no surprise to me. Like I said, basically when he's and here let's pull up. By the way, let's pull up. French. I don't know if everybody here got to see it. Here, let me pull it up on. I'll pull it up on Twitter. Where's it at? There it is. All right. Now, I don't know how many of you guys have seen it. Okay. So I don't know, but that's okay. Hold on. Need to close some things out. My computer is lagging. Give me 1 second here. All right.
You guys ready to go or? All right. Just kind of wanted to start out a little bit. Just thank everybody involved, like in the draft process. It's been a really good process. A lot of good collaboration, communication between everybody. And I feel like that's what you need to get to the right answers and get to the final conclusion on some guys. So still some work to do, but we're making a lot of progress. We feel good about where we're at right now. Excited to get the next Thursday. Big first round pick. We got the 8th overall pick. Excited to just continue building and adding competition to the roster, adding talent to the roster. And, we're going to be able to introduce our first round pick next Friday, keep pounding drum and just kind of introduce them to the fans and, everybody kind of get to know him a little bit. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
That suggests, Dan, that you're definitely going to pick in the first round.
Yeah.
I don't know who asked this first question. It goes, hey, Dan, are you for sure going to pick in the first round?
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to be there.
Yeah. No fucking shit. I'm going to pick in the first round. You dumb fuck. I don't know who that had to be. Fucking what's his damn name? That damn reporter for ESPN who's about as bright as a fucking brick wall. What the fuck is his name? It's not Joe Persons. It's the other guy. Joe, is it Joe Persons that's for ESPN? I think it's Joe Persons. I think it's the other guy. Joe Persons pretty. I think is it Joe Persons? I can't remember. It was Person. Jesus. No, David Newton. That's who it is. Two Growls One War says, Person asked the question. Come on, Persons. Like, I don't start turning into David Newton, man. You gonna jeez, Lou, bro. Don't turn into David Newton, bro. Don't turn into David Newton. Persons, you're smarter than that, man. You're smarter than that. Like, no fucking shit. We're picking in the first round. Thanks, Captain fucking Obvious.
How comfortable would you be in a potential trade back scenario? And I guess, in other words, where do you see the ledge of first round talent falling?
I don't really want to get into specifics on like where I would trade back to, but I think we're definitely open to trading back and acquiring more picks. I think we're going to be open, to all possibilities. Let's put it that way.
And there seems to be a consensus that the front seven talent in this draft is pretty stacked. With that said, how much do you have to weigh that, as much as you guys have invested in it and want to invest in it further, when you consider a potential trade back opportunity?
Yeah, repeat that again. So
essentially, with the strength of this class and understanding that is something that you guys have kind of been strategic about, how much do you have to understand the strengths of this class when considering a trade back?
Yeah, I think obviously, we'll count numbers and, in terms of outside backers and interior guys, it's definitely a strong class, which we're excited about because, I think that's still an emphasis that we want to address is, just make our front seven as strong as it can be. So we'll look at all in every scenario, but yeah, we'll definitely look into that.
As far as Icky's fifth-year option, I believe the due date's May 1st. Keeping your options open with that heading into the draft, does that kind of complicate the way you maybe look at the offensive tackle position in this?
No, I don't think it does. I mean, we're just taking our time with that. There's no rush. We still have to, I think it's May 2nd. So we're not rushing that. We're taking our time and we'll have a plan in place.
Dan, when there are players that maybe don't have the numbers or production in college that really stand out off the page.
All right, so first things first, talks about Ike Ekwonu there. Let's just say this. 5th year's option, let's just pump the brakes off of all that. Like Ike Ekwonu hasn't exactly been a disaster, okay? At first it was but I feel like he's improved. I think really Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt coming in here probably definitely helped out a lot, right? But let's not pretend he's turned into the franchise left tackle either, okay? And that we hope for, not for a first round pick. Now here's the thing. You got, as this team has until May 2nd to lock in his 5th year option. I think they will. But his tone is obviously, from hearing it, it's less urgent, right? It's more like a poker face here. He goes, we're just taking our time with it. Like, there's no rush. We're having a plan in place. Like, if you read between the lines here, what he's saying and really think it, I think this, and this is just me personally, ladies and gentlemen, and you can get mad all you want. I don't care. Okay. I really don't. Okay. The Panthers aren't sold on Ike Ekwonu from a long-term value standpoint at that price tag. Plain and simple. And here's the reason why. They may be trying to negotiate a cheaper extension behind the scenes. I can guarantee you that. Or they're legitimately unsure if he is that guy. Because either way, to me, based off of that conversation right there, it's a little weird that you're dragging your feet on what should be a no-brainer if they believe that that guy, that Ike Ekwonu, was the foundational piece. That's the way I look at it. If you really thought that Ike Ekwonu is the guy, it does make me think the way how nonchalant he is and that he's not in a hurry. Because if they thought he was the true left tackle of the future for the Carolina Panthers, they would have an extension lockdown, or that fifth-year option would already been picked up. I think he's progressed. I think Robert Hunt and the Damian Lewis coming in here absolutely helps. I'm wondering if they think Brady Christensen's a better fit. I seriously am. I'm wondering if they think Brady Christensen is a better fit at left tackle than Ike Ekwonu. And I'm wondering if it's interesting to me. So again, I think it's just weird, man. I think it's when you read between the lines what he's saying there, they aren't sold on Ike. Not from a long-term value at the price tag that he's looking that maybe he's looking for where he's at. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if behind closed doors they're trying to negotiate a cheaper extension, especially if they're legitimately. And I just think it's either that or they're just legitimately unsure if he's the guy. So it's a little weird that they're dragging their feet. Because again, if they thought that this guy was it'd be a no-brainer. That's just me.
Does that turn you away at all? And how do you kind of fit in college that really when there are players that maybe don't have the numbers or production in college that really stand out off the page? Does that turn you away at all? And how do you kind of bake that into your evaluation?
I think obviously you want the production, you want the body of work to be there. You obviously don't want to draft guys that, weren't productive in college. So I think that's kind of what you're asking, right?
Okay. Well, you can go ahead and cross off Mykel Williams and Shamar Stewart off your guys' draft boards if you had them anywhere. Okay.
Right. So yeah, we're not, obviously we want, guys with a lot of production, and I think that usually translates to the next level.
Based on everything.
Another example I took away from this was one. No college production, you ain't getting no draft ticket from the Carolina Panthers. Like Morgan literally didn't sugarcoat it there. Like if you didn't produce in college, your ass is going somewhere else. And you're not going to be Carolina Panthers problem. You're going to be someone else's problem on Sundays. Like that's it. It's a clear message. It's like, man, like they're looking at guys who have all the athleticism, all the upside in the world. They're not, that's what they're looking for. So to me, Mykel Williams, even though they've shown a lot of love to him, I think that you're looking at a guy in the past 3 years who's only had 14 sacks in 3 years. So those potential guys like Mykel Williams, gone. Shamar Stewart, gone. They want dogs who actually make plays. They don't want these all-American gym rats. And that guys who just disappear in actual games. That's not what Dan Morgan's wants. What's up, Earl? Appreciate you joining, man. Solid. What's good? Eric, what's good? Appreciate y'all joining. So, if If you had Michael Williams or Shamar Stewart, just go ahead and take him off your board.
You did so far. How committed are you to sticking to defense with number 8 or trading back?
Yeah, I think I said it before. Like, we're not going to box ourselves in. We're going to be open to all possibilities. With that number 8 pick. Like I said, whether it's trading back.
To me, I think guys that Carolina is probably going to be looking at. Big dude definitely is right. Jalen Walker, JPJ, Will Johnson, Mike Green is another one. I think Donovan Ezeruku out of Boston College is another one. Like, if he's saying guys who have production, like all those guys I just mentioned, production. Jahad Barron probably as well out of Texas, another guy. He's probably looking at all those guys now in the first round. So, at this point, who knows? I really don't know where he's going anymore. I honestly have no idea. I don't think it's a wide receiver though. As much as Dan Orlovsky says that Carolina needs to be smart and go get one, I don't think it's in the first round. I really don't.
Back, or whether it's staying there and picking somebody. So we're definitely not going to box ourselves in.
Dan, with what you've gone through last year and building the roster and addressing certain areas and doing it again in free agency this year, setting up for the draft. I know you speak in the collective we, like how it's coming together, but from the general manager's position, how are you liking how you feel about where?
And here's the thing about the trade back thing. Again, I just think that the phone lines are going to be open. Again, and this is just some other things that I'm hearing that I heard from him. I've already watched this whole thing, but for some of you guys maybe who missed some things, and that's why we're breaking it down. But if someone's willing to cough up a decent haul, I do want to say this. The Panthers are going to slide back faster than a DB burned in man coverage. Like, Morgan learned under one of the best GMs who was able to stockpile picks, and that's John Schneider in Seattle. John Schneider is the king of stockpiling picks. So again, that's another reason why I won't be shocked, even though we're talking about those guys that there are potentials, that the guys who actually had clear production. Again, I would not be shocked if Carolina moves down and tries to grab 2 solid starters instead of one, maybe one starter. I just wouldn't be surprised. I just wouldn't be surprised. Yep. Yes. All right, let's continue.
This group is and what you can do. Is it taking the image that you had that you envisioned?
Yeah, I feel really good about where we're at right now. Excited about the direction that we're heading. I feel like we can really add some good pieces to the roster and continue to add to the front and build out that depth and the competition, on both sides of the ball with both fronts. So, I think we want to dominate the line of scrimmage, and I think that's the bottom line.
Is the management ever fully satisfied with the work that they've done?
No, I don't think, I think no matter how good this roster can ever get, like, you can never be satisfied. You always got to be hungry and always looking for ways to be innovative and getting better.
Dan, at the owners' meetings, Dave said that he was really happy with the wide receiver room led by Xavier Legette. Curious to know your take on the Panthers wide receiver room now.
Okay, so listen to this question again. Listen to this question and listen to the answer, because we're going to dive into this.
That he was really happy with the wide receiver room led by Xavier Legette. Curious to know your take on the Panthers wide receiver room now and how that kind of aligns with this wide receiver draft class.
Yeah, I agree with what Dave said. We're excited about the development of, Xavier and Jalen Coker and some of our young guys. So, with Thielen still in there, Reeson and David Moore, I think we do feel good about our receiver room. I think, we're looking forward to seeing them compete and just get better and better. And, that's not to say that we're not going to, invest in a receiver at some point during the draft. So We're just going to draft really good football players, and if it's a wideout, then so be it.
Given that Taylor's going into a contract year, is offensive tackle on the table?
All right, so they said that they're oddly optimistic, which to me, I think it's funny how him and Dan Morgan, like Dan Morgan, Dave Camales, both seem oddly optimistic about the wide receiver room. Okay, like I just think it's very odd to me, right? Like Xavier Leggett's still, I think Xavier Leggett's still marinating. If we're talking about this wide receiver group, Xavier Leggett is still marinating. He's like that steak, man, that you put in the baggie, right? That rib or whatever you like, okay? However you want to marinate. You put it in the bag, you marinate it the night before. I always do my steaks 24 hours. Okay? Let him let him marinate in that seasoning, okay? Adam Thielen is basically a mentor at this point. So I'll be that. David Moore is just fucking David Moore, man. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be like, oh, we got, like, even when we signed him, I was like, okay. You're also talking, we just signed a guy that also had a lot of drops too, just like Xavier Leggett. Jalen Coker is another guy that's marinating, man. I think the potential's there. We saw a lot of flashes in him too. So I'm glad to hear that the door's not closed on bringing anybody in. But when you heard what we just heard from Dan Morgan, in other words, to me, what he's saying is that the wide receiver room isn't urgent. But if a playmaker falls in their lap, they're not going to blink. Okay, great. Get your pass. I think Carolina just needs to get their pass rusher, whether they get it in the first round. I don't care if they get it when they trade back or if they get it at number 8, whatever the case may be. And I do believe, though, the second round pick, it should be a wide receiver. And honestly, even if it does fall in their lap in the first round, okay, then like I said, they shouldn't blink, and honestly, they shouldn't. They don't blink, just make that decision. Because Bryce Young does need his guy. And I'm hoping that maybe it ends up being Xavier Leggett or Jalen Coker, right? I hope that those either one of those guys end up developing into that, right? Because I don't want guys here anymore that just show promise in camp, right? We've seen that time and time again. We saw it multiple times in camp where Terrace Marshall looked phenomenal in camp. He looked like the next TO in camp. And then you had Jonathan Mingo in camp looked like an absolute the next coming of AJ Brown. We need to have a difference maker when it comes to targets. If there's value there, I expect him to bite. I expect Dan Morgan to bite. Hey, whatever you like, Palmetto Panther. Hey, whatever you like. I ain't hating on it. Zach, I would probably say more for him in the 4th. Now, Noel, he might fall. He might fall, though, Zach. He might fall. Give me an edge and a safety. Kyle Williams in 3rd. I mean, Palmetto Panther, Kyle Williams on PFF's board is now a 2nd-round pick from their board. That's solid. That's fucking awesome. Honestly, that's the best thing I've heard all day. That is the best solid. That is the best thing I've heard all day. Jadavion Sanders should make that happen. So we have Coke 0. That's fucking awesome. It's the best thing I've heard all day. Palmana Panther says, damn. Yeah. PFF's got him in the second round now. Like late second round, but he's moved up to the second round. They've actually got him ahead of Jalen Noel. Now, do I agree with that? No. I think Jalen Noel is better. But I would not hate if Kyle Williams was there in the third if we decided not to pick up a wide receiver in the second. Yeah, he is. He's just skyrocketing right now. I don't know what it is. All right, let's continue.
Again, like we're not going to box ourselves in with anything. I
Tackle. Given that,
players, and if it's a wide out, then so be it.
given that Taylor's going into a contract year, is offensive tackle on the table for you guys?
Again, like we're not going to box ourselves in with anything. I think, if an offensive tackle's there at some point, like I'd be open to drafting an offensive tackle, but that, really doesn't have anything to do with Taylor Moton.
And when the Saints news came out Friday, did that kind of cause a little uptick in traffic on your phone? I mean, were more people interested in talking once that's out there?
No, I don't think yet. I think it's still a little early for that. I think maybe down the line I'll expect it a little more, but right now things are quiet.
Jason Light said last week, Dan, that he thinks it's going to be less movement this year because sort of a level type talent level across the first round into the second. Do you get that same vibe that it might be tough to find a trade up partner?
I always look at it like it only takes one team to fall in love with a player, so a team could fall in love with a player and decide they want to trade up with us and go get their guy. So, I really don't look at it like that. I just look at it as, a team's just may really love a guy. So we'll be waiting if somebody wants to come up.
And a lot's made of 30 visits. What is your philosophy towards 30 visits as a franchise? It seems like everybody has their own thing, but what specifically for you is?
I think we usually bring in guys that we just kind of feel like we want to get to know a little bit better, whether it's from a personal standpoint or from like a football standpoint, whether it's, getting them on the board one more time and, just checking their mental, their IQ, and then just kind of getting to know them as, people. So I think as much time as you can spend with these guys, it's good in the end.
I signed Colin Granger. What went behind the decision to, bring in a guy who has limited to no football?
Yeah, I think, it's a good opportunity to fill out our 90-man roster. Colin had a good workout. He was recommended by George Fan, who we're familiar with from our Seattle days. It's just an opportunity just to add a guy and, be open-minded and then just kind of try some new things and maybe see what we have.
He's talking about, so they asked, so he was asked about signing the basketball player, Colin, what's his name? Colin, what is that? Colin Hanger or whatever. I think it's called Colin Granger, my bad. They were just asking about the signing of Colin Granger. Which is kind of funny. Based off of what he said, I mean, in other words, don't freak out. He's not going to get first team reps or anytime soon. We know we signed the kid last week, officially listing him as a tight end. Their press release admitted point blank that this is his first kind of go around into football. Like that's PR speaks for to me that he's never worn a pads before, but hey, let's see what happens. So, and apparently he was recommended came from George Fant, who a guy Panthers brass knew from his Seattle days. So, it's basically it's a shrug and see move, right? That's what that is. That's a shrug and see move. Going after that kid.
Dan, seems like every mock draft has you taking Jalen Walker. At the combine, I believe you weren't really wanting to commit to how you saw him fitting into your system.
Right.
Can you expand on that a little bit on how you see him fitting in if you were to take him?
I mean, Jalen's a good player. I think, for us, I guess I'll talk on it now, but he's an outside linebacker for us that I feel like can do a lot in our defense. I think he's definitely a great person, really good player. And, I think he's got a bright future ahead.
And kind of building off that, he's a hybrid sort of player. Like you mentioned, he's going to be this guy for us, not necessarily meaning that he would be this guy for other teams. What's your view on defensive players, and particularly defensive front seven guys who can play multiple positions? Like, does that make him more attractive as a draft prospect?
I don't know if it makes them more attractive, but I think it definitely makes them, it adds value to them. I think, in Jalen's case, he can play on the outside. You can move him inside. You can do a lot of different things with him on the defense. And, I know that we do value those type of things. And again, he's a good player.
Is there a concern with a player like that you might spread him too thin if you do try to, off the bat, find multiple roles for him?
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. I think, it's always good to align a guy where you really want to play him so he can, develop in a specific place. That way you're not moving him around and he's not really getting better or getting great at anything. He's just kind of good at, a bunch of different things. So, yeah, I definitely think that's valid.
To his sort of character and football IQ, I know he's the son of a longtime college coach. Did that come through in your meetings with him?
Yeah. Again, he's a great kid. He's super smart. I mean, he's been around football.
All right. So if you listen to this about the Jalen Walker thing, basically he was asked about him. Here's the thing. Jalen Walker is their type of chaos. That's the type of chaos that Dan Morgan wants, right? Like Morgan wouldn't say it out loud during the combine, but now he's kind of tipping his hand a bit here with Jalen Walker. Like he's clearly high on Jalen Walker for a good reason. And he just mentioned it. Jalen Walker's a good player. He said he's an outside linebacker that he feels for that would be a good fit for us. Basically saying, I feel like he could do a lot in our defense. He's got a bright future ahead. And here's the thing. Like, we know Walker's the kind of hybrid defender that league loves. Like, someone you can move around like a chess piece, not a statue with a fixed assignment. He's explosive, smart, brings versatility. The Panthers' defense desperately needs, right? I feel like, honestly, Dan Morgan's practically drooling without fully committing. And unless something crazy happens ahead of them, I mean, at the same time, trading back, again, I wouldn't be shocked. But I would not be shocked if Walker ends up wearing black and blue come Thursday night. So, really, after that question, I mean, the questions kind of fell off. After 10 minutes of that press conference, I mean, the questions fell off, I'll be honest with you. There were some interesting questions here and there, but there was really nothing crazy. I'll say this. My final thoughts on the whole press conference. I mean, Dan Morgan, I like it. He's not playing games. I mean, to his credit, he isn't blowing smoke up our ass either. Like, he didn't try to bullshit anyone, I felt like, with vague, meaningless, well, let's see how it goes, rhetoric, right? Answers. Like, he gave us enough real talk to see where, his head's at, right? And I think it's clear it's he's running this team with purpose, not PR fluff. I think the Panthers are, well, again, we're in rebuild mode. They're not flailing around. Like, this draft is the draft that's going to be telling. Like, to me, it's like the questions I have is, are they going to play it safe? Are they going to get aggressive? Are they going to move down and hoard value? Or, those are the things I'm kind of going in my mind right now, right? Like I think that one thing's for sure from this press conference, I do feel like Dan Morgan's not sitting on his hands hoping for some miracles. Like he's hunting, and let's see if he bags something worth a damn, like, and gets us back on track. You know what I mean? So I'm interested to see. So, but yeah, those are my takeaways, man. Shout out the comments. Let me know what you think. Give me your takeaways. As always. I have been live since 7:00 tonight. So basically been live for over 2.5 hours. So I know it's not 2.5 hours on here pertaining to be, but make sure you guys go check out the NFC South Roundtable. Okay. Make sure you go check out our latest episode, our latest mock draft. So it was a 3-round mock draft. Make sure you go check it out. Make sure you guys like and subscribe here. Become a member today. All right. Always support the channel in any way possible. Venmo, Cash App is in the description. You can also send super chats. That also helps support the channel. All the money that you guys help out here, the money that you guys help out here, all of it goes towards the channel. Whether you Cash App me, whether you Venmo me, whether you super chat me, whether you become a member, all of it goes back towards the channel so we can do more, or so I can do more for you guys. You know what I mean? So appreciate everyone joining the live stream again. Do me a favor, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure you click that post notification bell so you don't miss any new content. Also, check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. I'm also on Twitch now, so make sure you go over there, follow me on Twitch. That would definitely help out as well. Shout out to BetUS sponsorship of this live stream of the Ropp Star Report. As always, sign up for free today. Get 125% bonus up on your first 3 bets up to $2,000, but bet responsibly. All right. Other than that, guys, I'm not going to do a live stream tomorrow. I am going to get a bunch of other content out to you guys tomorrow. All right. So make sure you guys tune in. Okay. Make sure you guys tune in. So no live stream tomorrow, but I will have other content coming out to you tomorrow. So make sure you guys tune into that. And as always, guys, love y'all. Thank you for the continued support. We're on the road to 6K. We're almost to 6,000 subscribers. We only need 60 more people to reach 6K here on YouTube. That would be a great milestone to reach. And I would greatly appreciate each and every one of you as well, if you could do that. So, again, I'm logging off. As always, guys, love you. Be safe. Have fun. Keep pounding. I'm out. Peace.